The city of Luxembourg is very small, has 100,000 inhabitants, the city, and the country 500,000. So it's quite small. It was always, until a few years ago, the little country in the European Union, but that has changed lately with the entrance of Malta. We have our own language, Luxembourgish, which is very close to German. It's closer to German than to French. When the official language is French, but we have the use of German, French, Luxembourgish also in school. We have to learn especially German and French, otherwise we could not survive. You know, we have such a small little language, and if we do a few kilometers, we cross the border, nobody in the world speaks Luxembourg. Nobody. Nobody would even think to learn it. Here we drive along the valley. You have on the left side a deep valley called the Pétrusse Valley. There you have a tiny little river called Pétrusse, and this valley cuts the city in two. We are here in Upper Town, and on the other side of the valley you have the station area. But you see how nice it is with all this green right in the middle of the city, and with our rainy months of July and August it stays of course very green, and it's really like a jungle now. It has grown so much with this weather we had. Rainy and then hot again. So you can see here on the left, on the right, the valley, and on the left side you can see the monument, the Golden Lady. See here on the left you have the statue of the Golden Lady. You can see her on the obelisk, and then behind you have the three spires of the Cathedral, Our Lady of Luxembourg. That's the important church of Luxembourg. We will see later on our tour when we walk through the city. Come in here into Liberty Avenue, and the two buildings on the left, on the right, that's the State Savings Bank. It has nothing to do with the palace of the Grand Duke, it's a bank, and it's quite a nice building. The one on the left was done in the beginning of the 20th century, and this is one of the nicest avenues of Luxembourg, very large, nice architecture on each side. And here we come along on the left side, the building, the headquarters of the steel company Arcelor Mittal. Here are the headquarters, and just on the right, behind the coach here, you have sculpture made by Henry Moore. You see there on the right, the Rose Garden. It's called Mother and Child. It's the only Henry Moore we have here in the city. Luxembourg was formerly a fortress called the Gibraltar of the North, and we will see in the old town afterwards a vestige of this old time when the military architects from the 16th to the 19th century have made Fortress Luxembourg. Luxembourg Fortress has a bit the character of a Bourbon fortress. Look here, you have the same view again. On the left you can see again the statue on the square on the left. You can see it on the left side, and then of course the skyline of Luxembourg, the towers of the Cathedral. That's really the typical panorama, and right and left the valley with everywhere rocks and fortification walls. We have again the deep valley here on the right. That's where we have our low towns, the little suburbs along the river Alzette. And on the hill on the right you see the skyscrapers of Luxembourg. That's where the European Union buildings are. Now we take the second to the right. Here we are in Boulevard Royal. On the right, the building, that's the Central Bank of Luxembourg. The Central Bank of the European Union is in Frankfurt. And here on the left you see the stone, the Rolling Stone here on the left. You see the three turning in the water. And we had once a group with a guide, and that was an English tourist who said, oh, that must be the Rolling Stone of Luxembourg. And since then it has got the name. This gentleman, he does not know how famous he became afterwards. He doesn't ask any royalties, but we all say the Rolling Stone of Luxembourg. It's even mentioned on the leaflet on the in the tourist office. And we will go now to the right. That's also the direction highway to Germany, to Trier, to Saarbrücken. Here you are always close to a border. We have our longest border with Belgium, second longest with Germany, and in the south the small border with France. On the left that's the theatre of Luxembourg, and on the right that's one of the best retirement homes of Luxembourg called the Fondation Esquertel. And in World War II General Patton had his headquarters in that building. That was of the famous Battle of the Bulge at Petten. We come here on a square called Plaza of Europe, and there you have this nice building on the right side with all these little columns around. That's the concert hall, that's our Philharmonie, called Grande-Duchesse Joséphine-Charlotte, named after a former Grand Duchess of Luxembourg. See this? And here all these new buildings on the left, on the right, always new architecture, always new buildings. The right here on the right side, the very long stretched building, that's where the sessions take place from the ministers of the European Union. That's a sports center, you see here on the left. It's quite interesting when you look behind the building here on the left, you see the shape of the roof, it's like a shell. And that's also because it's named La Coque, here on the left, La Coque. And in there you also have musical events. We had, last year we had Elton John performing here in this building on the left. This is quite a new area for Luxembourg, and it has developed a lot in the last 20 years. It's our new city, it's called Kirchberg. You have of course other office buildings around, and where we come now it's more the sector of the banks. We have a lot of German banks in this area. Luxembourg is quite an important financial center. Here on the left you see the restaurant, look at the name, The Last Supper on the left. It's known by everybody, has a very interesting name. Here on the left you have the Deutsche Bank, you see the square building with the pyramid on the top. That's the biggest German bank in Luxembourg, Deutsche Bank. And if you shop and you want to be a French atmosphere, you go to the Auchan here on the left. You see that's a big shopping mall, Auchan. That's very well known in France. They are also in Spain under the name Alcampo, and they are quite successful here in Luxembourg. That's now 10 years they are implanted here in our city. And when you shop there, you don't know where you are. You hear so many different languages. The personnel is mostly French. The other building on the left side, that's the complex of our cinemas. There you have 11 cinemas. The whole is called Utopolis. You have also cafes, restaurants in there. It's really a little city on its own. Utopolis here on the left. So here we are at the rim of the city. We come on the square where you have again the modern art that's typical for this area. It's called The Exchange. It's done by an American artist, Richard Serra. It's a bit rusty, but that's the style. It's very fashionable now. Rusty objects here in Kirchberg. And here on the left side, that was formerly the famous Fortis Bank. And due to the crisis a bit, it has changed, and now it's again BGL, Banque Générale Luxembourg, together with the French bank BNP Paribas. On the left, the nice building, that's the front building here of the European Court of Justice. See this building here on the left. On the right, very transparently built, that's the European Bank of Investment. Architect is German. They wanted to be very transparent, you see. The building, yes. Yeah. On the right you have again a nice object. It's the chair. You see on the right, the chair. The old building there on the left side, that was the first one, built in the 70s. It was called the Robert Schuman building. And now it's all, of course, very old, and they don't know what to do with it or renovate, but it costs a lot of money, or demolish. But then the people say it's a souvenir from the past, we have to keep it. At the end of the bridge on the left, a monument made of steel has on top 6 points that represent the 6 initial countries of the first common market, steel and coal. And the 6 first ones were France, Italy, Germany, Belgium, Netherlands and Luxembourg. So we have seen this already, the city parks. The whole western side of Luxembourg are city parks. 2/3 of the city is surrounded by a valley, and this here is the flat side where we have our city parks. So 1815 then Luxembourg was taken away from France and given to the Netherlands. Then the King of Holland became Grand Duke of Luxembourg. That was a personal union with the House Orange-Nassau with the Netherlands. And this time lasted from 1815 to 1890 with the 3 Williams of the Netherlands. In 1890, William III died. He had no son as follower on the throne. His daughter became Queen of Holland, and it was not possible, according to the Salic rules in the Nassau family, to have a woman, a Grand Duchess for Luxembourg. And that's why then there was a change in the dynasty, in the family, and we got our own family. You see on the left, you see this pyramid. That's the new Museum of Modern Art. That's just next to the high buildings on the hill on the left. Was done by the famous architect Yeo Ming-pei, who has done the Pyramid of the Louvre. And it's here. It's called MUDA. That means Musée d'Art Moderne.
Now comes the corner. Look at that. Look at that down there. Fantastic. See down there? There's a bit of a water feature there. And down here was the sort of allotment, which is fantastic.
see. It's always difficult. It's really...
This is the back of the Lady of Luxembourg church. So that's back to the entrance. Such an amazingly clean city. Another one of the other main squares in Luxembourg. There's a brass band playing. The bandstand there.
Il y a un gros camion, attention. On va faire un grand marché? Ouais.
This is on Rue de la Poste.